Welcome into another brand new edition of Embrace Debate here on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by the Fans First Sports Network. You can catch us on all major podcast platforms. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined every week by Cody Lachney from the Carolina Chronicles and our boy Monty Fetti from the Four-Man Rush. Debate-style format, Panther-centric format. You can participate in the debate, just like Panther Pickle C3 here, by just commenting underneath the YouTube video or Facebook watch video. It'll appear live here, just like our guy Dexter Henderson just did. And you can actually ask the panel a question, start a debate topic. This is completely interactive. So you're able to do this every Thursday morning at 10:30 a.m. here on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by the Fans First Sports Network. Before we get into the topics for today, Monty, you wanted to address situation that our guy Cody got into yesterday with the Matt Corral from the Carolina Panthers. You want to kind of frame this for everybody who might not have been on Twitter and saw what happened yesterday about Cody?
Yeah, tell the story, Monty.
Well, you see, me and my brother Cody here, we've been going at it about Bryce Young and Matt Corral for over a year. So, you know, we've been setting this stage here for quite some time now. And what was it? It was over a year ago, wasn't it, Cody? That my guy had posted that Matt Corral is a better prospect than Bryce Young. I tried to warn him before he stepped out there.
Oh no.
Yeah, I try to, Des, I try to warn him. I try to stop him. I try to stop Cody from himself, And he wouldn't listen to the kid. And here we are a year later. Matt Corral has biting, or the story is written on Matt Corral, and Bryce Young is our franchise quarterback. So
something I saw too that's wild. Well, maybe it's not so wild. All the players that got cut from the Panthers yesterday have yet to be picked up off of waivers, which basically is a huge red flag on the previous regime and their drafting.
PJ Walker keeps getting the job because I think PJ Walker just got picked up. So that's.
But didn't Keith Taylor just get picked up?
He might have. I mean, this was what I was seeing as I went to bed last night. So there might be some that got picked up this morning as we come on the air. I'm sure some of them will, and some of them are going to probably be back with the Panthers. I would imagine. Frank Wright pretty much said as much in his press conference the other day that some of these guys are going to be back. So I would imagine we'll see some of them. And hell, Matt Corral might end up being practice squad quarterback here.
Well, I mean, hey man, let me answer for my sins, okay?
Yeah.
So first of all, that was a different time, like Monty alluded to. Number one, at that time, I thought we were giving up 3 first-round picks, and I was like, "Whoa, we were picking number 9." That was a little bit of a bridge too far for me. And then, sometimes I like to be spicy on Twitter, man. What up? Hey, look, you know what? My followers are up more than they were before. So your boy is up, man. I
knew it was a plan that issued by Cody this whole time. I knew that he was going to get exposed. He knew that he was going to gain. Yeah, we knew he was going to gain 100 followers over this, so he knew what he was doing. Man.
I'm diabolical, bro. Get off.
Rare Gamer 99 says, according to the professor, Matt Corral is going to the Patriots. That'd actually be a pretty good fit. I would.
That's where a lot of people are saying that he should go because they only have one quarterback. All they have is Matt Jones on their roster.
Yeah, they let Zappy go, or did they put him in the practice squad? I know they cut him.
They cut him. I know that. I don't know if they put him on the practice squad or not.
Patriots are interesting. They haven't had a winning season since Brady left, if I'm not mistaken. So just a lot in flux over there. But of course, y'all know Embrace Debate is all Carolina Panthers every Thursday, 10:30 a.m. live debate type show where you can catch it right before your lunchtime, or if you miss it at 10:30, you can catch it at noon when you get to your lunch, and it'll already be sitting there for you on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio, or you can catch it on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network's Facebook watch page. Guys, let's just get into it. We're talking about the roster cuts. Most surprising Panthers roster cut from yesterday. Monty, I'll let you go first on this one here.
I think Deion Jones probably was the one that was the biggest shocker for me. I thought Deion Jones would have been almost a lot for the roster, or for the 53-man roster. I think he provides great depth at that linebacker position. And we really need, depth at the inside linebacker position. So I thought Deion Jones being cut was a huge one for me. I definitely didn't see that one coming. Out of a lot of the ones I kind of saw coming, like, for instance, What didn't shock me that Keith Taylor got let go. Didn't shock me that Brandon Smith got let go. But the Deion Smith was not Deion Smith. But yeah, that was the one. He was probably the one that definitely shocked me the most.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to jump in here, I'm going to say Brandon Smith. I mean, Monty said he's not surprised, but what surprises me at least, I get that whenever there's a new regime, there's new coaches, a lot of those guys, they're not, a lot of the guys that were here under previous set of coaches, they're not necessarily in favor with the new guys. But to me, it was just wild that we let go of someone like Brandon Smith, who had a ton of talent, a ton of potential. When we brought in Deion Jones, before that, we were kind of expecting that Brandon Smith would be the guy to kind of step up at that linebacker spot. They bring in Deion Jones, and then not only did they cut Deion Jones, but they cut Brandon Smith as well. That was just kind of wild to me, man. It just seems like they're not interested in developing some of the talent that was here on the roster. Now, I know a few other guys made a good name for themselves. Cruz Hill, Wooten, there were a few guys that have done well. But, I mean, that one was just a weird one to me because I felt like he had a lot of potential, a lot of talent, and he just needed someone to coach him up and put him in a position to be successful. And, I thought Ejiro Rivero would end up being that guy, but apparently not.
I agree with both of those. I'm kind of surprised. The one that stood out to me was I'm trying to find him on this list. Keith Taylor. And I think you said that maybe Keith Taylor might have found a home someplace else already, but 4th round selection, a Matt Rule pick. Although Scott Fitter was here, but it's starting to feel like Scott Fitter only had limited say in what exactly was going on with the roster until Rule was gone. Because now you're starting to see a specific plan kind of coming into place in terms of the type of guys they want. Whereas when Rule was here and running the draft, it almost felt like he was looking for guys that would fit his college system that he was trying to implement, which is a bit different than, going after sheer talent. But yeah, for me, Keith Taylor and Shaw Smith, I thought with the injuries to the wide receiver room that Shaw Smith would have a chance to stick around a little bit, kind of a speedster. But again, another Matt Rule draft pick. Didn't show enough, I guess, in preseason. I'd imagine Shaw Smith's going to land someplace. You can always use a speedy wide receiver in your wide receiver room. And, of course, that question got answered when they signed the kid from Kansas City yesterday, the wide receiver that had a pretty good preseason for the Chiefs. So that's probably why Shaw Smith had to go. But, yeah, Matt Corral was one of those casualties that had to get cut when they brought in the 3 guys off of waivers they did. I heard the cornerback that they brought in from San Francisco is pretty good. Keith Wilkes spoke really highly of him back in August, so that's a good sign there for the cornerback they brought in. What's the strongest position group heading into week 1, in your opinion, guys? Cody, we'll start off with you on that one.
Yeah, for me, I'm actually at this point, as much as it might seem kind of crazy, I'm going to say offensive line. This is the first year that I really do feel like we've had depth on the offensive line. Thank God some of the names amongst the cuts were Michael Jordan and Cam Irving.
I wasn't going to put him on Front Street. But
hey, I will. I'll do it for you, Desmond. Hey, happy you were here, but don't let the door hit you on the bottom on the way out, bro. That's all I got to say.
On one hand, I'm like, they're human. They just lost a job. I got to have some compassion for them. But on the other hand, I'm like, y'all was trying to get the quarterback killed.
Yeah, we got a brand new quarterback. And we got a brand new quarterback, and he's every bit of 5'10", 200 pounds. I think let's not have Michael Jordan blocking for him. But everybody's kind of overreacting to the offensive line, I feel like. I understand we've had some bad performances. I do want to see them get into the season, but I feel like we have good depth, with Nash Jensen. We have the guy that we got from Tennessee, Cade Mays, who a lot of people are excited about. Chandler Zavala, who looks like he's going to be the starting right guard. And, we're going to get Austin Corbett back at some point. They put him on the PUP list, so he'll be not available to the first 4 weeks. But, I mean, I really like what we have on the offensive line right now. And that's a good thing, man. You drafted a quarterback number 1. You need to have some good offensive line depth. So right now, I would say that's probably the strength of our team.
Monty, what are you thinking right now in terms of looking over this initial 53-man roster? What group do you think is the strongest going into week 1 versus Atlanta on the road?
Yeah, it's hard for me because I think it's kind of honestly it's top between two positions, and one y'all are not gonna believe me until I explain it. I'm going to say it. I think quarterback is arguably the strongest position we have, where the biggest position, where our strength is at.
I was just talking about that the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, we arguably have the two best quarterbacks in our division. You could say Bryce Young and Derek Carr, and then the next option would be Andy Dalton, Baker Mayfield, or Ritter. So you can arguably make the case that we have the two best quarterbacks in our division. And yeah, man, I honestly think that Bryce's upside is it can be one of the on the upper echelon in the league, and and I feel like I think we've done a good job to like Cody just said, I think we've done a good job enough to where we can protect him, and and we've got some if we're healthy, we got some pieces around him to where I feel like he's shown that he can kind of carry the load a year, so I think you can make the strong argument or a strong case for a quarterback. If not quarterback, I'm probably going to say outside linebacker. I think we're stacked at offensive linebacker. You have Brian Burns, you have Justin Houston, you depending on how they play Marquise Haynes, you have Haynes now. Louisville is going to get some snaps and looks on outside linebacker as well. You're going to have Chin coming down playing kind of like a hybrid role of linebacker and safety. So, I think our outside linebacker, or you can even say linebacker room in total, is probably where our strength is. But I think quarterback, gives a strong argument for it as well.
I was going to say linebacker and include the outside linebackers and the inside linebackers together as a unit. Until you mentioned quarterback, and now I'm sitting there thinking about it. I mentioned it on Believe in Panthers yesterday. I'm trying to think of a team, or I'm trying to think of more than like 3 or 4 teams that have a better quarterback situation in Carolina, because there's not a lot of backups I'd take before Andy Dalton.
Absolutely.
So having that, and then even when Matt Corral was still here, like as a third string quarterback, I was okay with him being the third string quarterback because a lot of stuff would have had to happen for him to hit the field, and he's got potential. We don't know because we hadn't really seen him long enough. He hadn't been on the field long enough for us to know exactly what he might end up becoming. But Bryce Young, would you say Bryce Young's the best starting quarterback in the NFC South going into week 1?
He has an argument. Definitely has an argument. And it's not even just as a bias, take our bias out of it. There's other people that have nothing to do with the Panthers that agree that Bryce Young has a potential to be the best quarterback in our division. So there's a strong argument for it, man.
And then,
I would say that long term, yes, it's definitely us. If you're not a Panther fan, I can understand why someone might say Derek Carr, because he has had success in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's definitely between Bryce and Derek Carr. And yeah, my homer is going to put Bryce over the edge on that one.
But then if I'm looking at just overall position groups, I got to go linebackers. Our starting linebacking core is going to be Brian Burns, Justin Houston, Shaq Thompson, Frankie Louvu. It's
crazy.
It's like that. You can't get much better than that. I think that's going to be the anchor of the team, to be honest. That's going to determine how well we play is going to be the play of that linebacking core. And then you got Jeremy Chin that can kind of drop in there, drop back out, kind of that Polamalu type of role. I think they're going to be the backbone of the team. And they've got a little bit of depth there. I'm a little worried about the depth of the defensive line. I think they only have 3 or 4 guys that are on there right now. When they cut McCall early, from what it sounded like he wasn't doing what the coaches were asking him to do, and that's a problem when it's when you're trying to make a team. You kind of want to do what the coaches tell you to do. If you're out there freelancing it and doing it yourself, they're going to catch you and they're going to send you on your way. And that sounds like what happened with Marquand McCall. So I'd imagine in the next day or so they might pick up another defensive tackle or end or something just to get some depth at that position now that there's some guys floating out there from cuts. So we'll kind of see what they do regarding that. Having said that, what's the weakest position group going into week 1 versus Atlanta? Monty, I'll let you go first on that one.
Weakest, in my opinion, bro, it's got to be running back. And I love the signing that we made with Miles Sanders, but and you can make this argument, because I hate the argument that if your top guy goes down, then your room looks bad, because you can make that argument for a lot of different positions in the NFL, for a lot of different teams. I just feel like the big drop off from Miles Sanders to Chuba Hubbard is significant. You know, I know people don't think it is, and I know too the people. We have a lot of truthers in our fan base. I don't see the the talent or that gap or people the lack of gap. Let me say that because people say there's not a big gap between Chuba and Miles Sanders, and I think that's crazy. I think outside of Miles Sanders, we have a very below average running back room. Everybody knows I've been, on record saying, go get another running back, and you can go get a top shelf running back, go get him. But yeah, man, I think that's definitely our weakest room right now.
Were you one of the ones that thought that they should have made a push for Jonathan Taylor? Because
absolutely. We talked about it last week too. Absolutely, Jonathan
he was
Taylor.
One of the loudest. What you mean?
Hey,
man. He won't like
Cody,
the world though. Like,
Cody, you when you're loud, brother, people notice now. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, no doubt. I was still right about Jonathan Taylor though.
So what's up, Cody? What you got for weakest position group going into week 1?
Yeah, you kind of already alluded to it, Desmond. I'm saying that defensive interior depth. And to me, the reason why that's, the one that I want to key in on, because so much of your success on the defensive line is your rotation. Like, they're not going to have Shia Tuttle and Derek Brown in on every set of plays on every down. Like, that's just not going to happen. You're going to have to rotate fresh guys into that defensive line formation to be able to get some pressure. And none of those names really behind Derek Brown and Shia Tuttle on that interior, really give a lot of confidence when you look at them. To me, that's something that, I know after we cut Marquand McCall, everybody was, kind of freaking out. Like, man, that was the guy that we were expecting to really be an important part of the rotation. And they just really decided that, either he wasn't listening or whatever, and they wanted to go with some of the other guys maybe that they had brought in through free agency. So it, I'm not panicked about it, but to me, it is a concern that is, it's going to be important to have a nasty rotation. And I feel like we have 2 guys that we can depend on, and the rest is just kind of, we really don't even know what we have yet.
Yeah.
Mid.
I'm worried. I think the linebacking core, like I said before, might be able to help with that a little bit. But yeah, I'm a little concerned there. Derek Brown, it's crazy because Derek Brown's actually had a decent career since he's gotten here. But I feel like this is the year that he can actually move into that upper echelon of defensive tackles in the league. Because, I mean, my man was a top 10 draft pick, top 5, 6 draft pick, if I'm not mistaken, right? When did we draft Derek Brown? It was number 7, I think.
Yeah, I think it was number 7 because Justin Herbert went number 6.
Yeah, top 10. So he was a top 10 pick at defensive tackle, and at top 10, I'm kind of like expecting more of a disruptor in the backfield, more so. Great run stopper, switching to a 3-4. So we'll kind of see if that makes him a little bit more comfortable there. Quick bonus question before we get to the last question of the day from Rare Gamer 99. Let's rule out Bryce and Derek for a second. Which team has the better pieces, Saints or Panthers?
I'm going to say Saints right now. Definitely Saints. I think they have the better offensive pieces. Defensively, they can make an argument for the best defense in our division. I probably, like I said, take bias out. I'm probably still going to lean towards Panthers because I think we have a younger defense. But yeah, I mean, I think if we're taking quarterback away, the Saints have a better all-around team than we do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would probably say the Saints. I mean, Chris Olave had a great rookie season last year, and they got Slant Man coming back in Michael Thomas, and my brother is a diehard Saints fan, so I know he's excited about that. And dude, they got Jimmy Graham back. Like, are we in 2014?
Yeah,
like, are we in 2014 right now? Like, bro, what's going on? But apparently he's looked good throughout training camp as well.
I was going to say that. I mean, the reports are he looks good though, man.
Yeah,
but
man.
You know what? The thing I learned this year, everybody looks good in training camp. Like, everybody.
Maybe not everybody.
Unless you're Cam Irvin or Michael Jordan, but yeah, everybody else. I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're Kim McQuan, if we're gonna keep it a buck, and then
oh my God!
I mean, hey, bro, if
Cody,
let's keep it a buck.
Young right now.
I ain't worried about it. I will say this though, in regards to Saints and Panthers in terms of their talent. On paper, yes, the Saints. But in the past 2+ years, a lot of those players haven't been on the field due to injury or whatever.
Yeah.
Whether it's Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, they've
Yeah.
had injuries up and down that roster, and now they're older.
Yeah.
They're the oldest team in the division. So I
Kamara's
try not to get caught up
suspended.
in that whole he's suspended. So I try not to get caught up in the name on the back of the jersey, because to me that's like a Madden way of kind of trying to figure out if a team's gonna be good or not. Just because DeAndre Hopkins was good 3 years ago, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be good week 1 now. Like we need to see what they're going to be. So I'm not sold on the Saints completely. Plus, again, Dennis Allen has a losing record as a head coach, and Derek Carr was a quarterback for a lot of that. So I don't know. I don't know if the Saints are going to necessarily be it in terms of our biggest challenge. We swept them last year. Matter of fact, Willie Smith reminding us here. So, and that was with a team that we had where we were trying to lose, it felt like, at some points of the season. So, and we swept the Saints despite that.
Every team in the division felt like they were trying to lose.
yeah. It was one of those years. Let's get to the final question of the morning. Who is your surprise NFL team for 2023? Meaning, there's always a team that comes out of nowhere that nobody picked to do anything really, that rattles off double-digit wins, gets into the playoffs, maybe even goes on a deep run, and it kind of sets them up going forward. Excluding us, because that's an easy answer, who would be the surprise team for you, NFC or AFC, for 2023 as we head into week 1? Cody, I'll let you go first now.
So this might be a little bit surprising because they're a blue blood franchise, but I'm going to say the Green Bay Packers, man. And I think when it's reasonable to think that, well, you're losing a multiple-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers, and you think that, well, that team is not going to be the same. But I kind of have high hopes for Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is really going to surprise people. I mean, Zach Wilson is already looking better for the Jets just after a couple months under Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love has been under him for 3 years now, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do. A lot of people are kind of penciling in the Lions and the Bears in that NFC North, but they haven't proven anything, man. Like, they're always the darling before the year starts, and then they never end up doing anything with it. So I think they have some good pieces. I'm going to say the Green Bay Packers.
That's a pretty good. And yet again, I've been hearing Jordan Love's having a good preseason. He had a good training camp. Looks pretty good. So, I mean, and in my mind, I'm like, well, he should. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 4 years. He watched how the man makes uphill. He watched how he throws. Like, he should.
And they have a young receiver whose name escapes me right now, but he looked great last year, and they're looking for him to be that number one kind of guy this year as well. So, yeah, I think the Green Bay Packers might be able to surprise some people.
Monty, your surprise team for 2023, excluding the Panthers.
Yeah, I was going to say excluding us. It's hard to pick a team in the AFC because they have to go through that gauntlet of quarterbacks in that division, that conference there. But I'm gonna pick another blue blood team, because I've been on record for liking this quarterback, when he was being drafted. I'm gonna go to say the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Steelers definitely, they can, that division, if Lamar's not healthy, I feel like that division can be wide open, man. I like the pieces that they have. I think George Pickens is a dog, and every bit of definition of dog there. I think Pickens is going to take the next step. I really like Harris. Najee Harris is going to be a stud at running back. So I love the pieces that they have offensively. Then you get TJ Watt back. He's healthy, so you're going to get arguably one of the best players defensively in the league coming back. And then they have Highsmith there as well. The Steelers are then I can never bank against Tomlin. They got one of the best coaches in the league now, so it's hard to bank against just the Steelers in general. Again, it's hard to pick a quarterback or a team in the AFC in general, but I probably would lean the Steelers as my sneaky team or sneaky good team this year.
I'm trying to think. I'm kind of leaning towards Washington for some reason. The Commanders or football team or whatever they're going to be going as this year. Although I heard there's a push to try to get the name Redskins back. I don't know how far that'll be able to go, but growing up here in North Carolina, before the Panthers, it was Redskin country. Like the 1 o'clock game was Washington. The 4 o'clock game was Dallas. So like literally this whole part of the Eastern Seaboard got Washington games pretty much. And we were there in the 80s, early 90s for the 3 rings and everything else. And I was a Redskin fan until the early 90s and switched to Dallas because I loved Emmitt Smith and watched them grow into a dynasty. And then finally got my home team in 95 and haven't looked back. So I have a soft spot in my heart for Washington and Dallas. Dallas is coming off 2 12-win seasons, so I wouldn't be surprised if they, do something. But Washington in that division, I feel like they should be getting more love than they are. I think the Giants are kind of stealing some of that shine because of what the Giants did last year. But the Giants won a lot of close games that they probably shouldn't have. And a lot of times that comes back to the mean the next year where you end up losing a lot of those games you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So Washington, I like Sam Howell, of course. Everybody knows Sam Howell from this area, former Carolina quarterback. They've got some pieces on defense. And they got Riverboat Ron. I don't like betting against Ron Rivera. Like I love that man to death. Like he's one of my favorite coaches, like in terms of just what you want in an NFL coach, like how to handle the media, how to handle players of all kinds. And I feel like he's going to be able to do that in Washington. Although I will say he's had some slip ups this this preseason with the media in terms of saying stuff about the team that probably should have stayed behind the scenes. And it wasn't very Ron Rivera like him revealing some of the stuff that was going on. In terms of, I think it was the whole Eric Bieniemy. Some of the players are complaining that he was working them too hard or something, and Ron let that slip to the media. Yeah, they probably should have just handled that closed doors. But other than that, I think Washington can be one. In the AFC, it's weird to say it, but New England. No one's talking about New England, and I obviously so. Like, there's not a whole lot to talk about, but. Is this the year that Bill Belichick proves it was more than just Tom Brady for the 20 years in New England, whatever? Because so far, it looks like it was Tom Brady. It looks like it was, if you didn't have him, then none of this happens. And we've always thought they were on equal playing fields, and this is kind of a prove it year for Bill. It feels like he's just hanging around to get past Don Shula's win record, which I don't know if it's this year where he can get it or the following year, but he's really close to it. It's like over 400 wins or something like that. So I think that's why he's still sticking around. But those would be mine. Anything else from you guys before we get out of here for the morning? Somebody mentioned the Steelers here, King Rock. Hey, your boy Mike Tomlin. Never bet against Mike Tomlin. Like they're gonna win. They're gonna get at least 9 games. They're gonna win them. They're gonna be.
If I had to pick any head coach, like if I had to pick a coach from any existing head coach right now, obviously that's not Frank Reich. Yeah, I'm picking Mike Tomlin all day.
All day long.
Like, if the Steelers are set to again, if Lamar Jackson doesn't come out in ball, which I think he will, like I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan.
He better.
So I think Baltimore takes that division. But if not, bro, the Steelers are going to be scary. They have the defensive pieces, on the defensive side of the ball. If Pickett takes that next step with George Pickens, bro, we're talking about a complete different AFC now. Because the Steelers, especially in December, Tomlin in December is one of the scariest teams in the NFL historically. If you just look over the history over the last decade, you do not want to play Steelers in December. So. That is not a team I want to play, man. New England, I'll say this: New England is right now arguably the 4th best team in that division. So they got a long way to go before they crawl back into grace. But they got the head coach to do it. So I mean, those are 2 good teams I think in the AFC that could scare a lot of teams this year.
And they draft so well, man.
Yeah, man.
Every year they're finding gems in the later round. Like now they picked up this dude Nick Herbig, who had an incredible preseason at outside linebacker. They already drafted the guy out of UNC Charlotte a few years back who had like 15 sacks last year. The Steelers, there's a reason why they're a perennial contender. They have great front office, great coaches, and they know how to scout.
Yeah, they have a great program. And honestly, that was what David Tepper, he was a minority owner of the Steelers. He was basically saying he wanted to kind of model the Panthers after what he saw in Pittsburgh in terms of longevity at the head coaching position. And they've had 3 head coaches in like 60 years or something nuts like that. So
I did want to ask y'all this. Do y'all think the Jaguars are a surprise team? Or are they kind of now like a foregone conclusion to win that AFC South.
Yeah, I don't think they're tough guys. Yeah, I think they should win. I mean, look at the rest of the AFC South. Like, I don't know what Tennessee is, and Indy and Houston just picked in the top 3 picks of the draft. Like,
rookie. Yeah,
it's
it's
crazy.
I think they'll win the division. I do think they're on the cusp of being one of the better teams in the AFC. So I mean, I think it really just depends on how you look at it. The Jags aren't there yet, but if Ridley comes back and he's anything close to what he was before he left, and then Trevor Lawrence takes the next step, yeah, you can make that argument that the Jags are not only not a sneaky team, they're one of the top 4 teams in the AFC. The Jags are going to be scary too, man.
Let me ask y'all this.
My fantasy team, bro. I'm pumped.
Let
me ask y'all this real quick before we get out of here. Who would you rather take right now, week 1? Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert?
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, why did you do this to me?
Hey, I'm glad, Des. I'm so glad you asked this question.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, because Justin Herbert feels like Justin Herbert is stealing the shine deserved or they're supposed to have went to Trevor Lawrence. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's all high on Justin Herbert, even though the Chargers haven't had the same success postseason wise as the Jags had the past 12 months. So Trevor Lawrence was highly regarded coming out of college. I mean, he was the dude coming out of college, number 1 overall pick. But we don't really talk about him when we talk about AFC quarterbacks. He's like the 6th or 7th or 8th quarterback you land on when you're rattling off the best quarterbacks in the AFC. So my question is, would you take Justin Herbert or would you take Trevor Lawrence for next week?
Right now,
yeah, would you? Hey, that's what we do here.
I mean, hey, look, no one's dunking on. Look, I'm a Clemson fan, bro. No one's dunking on me. Like Trevor, I mean, I'm picking Trevor because he's always been that dude. But I'll just say this, man. There's been so much slander toward Justin Herbert. It's like bro. I don't even want to hear it, bro. That dude. If you were gonna build a quarterback in a laboratory, you would make them 6'6", 240 pounds with a cannon for an arm, who's deadly accurate. That's Justin Herbert, man. People take that playoff loss from the Chargers against the Jaguars and say, that it was all on Justin. Bro, the team wins and loses. Like, it's not all on him. Dude, those 2 guys, they're going to be in the conversation of top 5 quarterbacks year in and year out. And, by the way, I know I'm long-winded, but look out for Kellen Moore, I believe, the new offensive coordinator that went to Dallas to Los Angeles. Yeah. They're going to revamp that offense to show off Justin Herbert's actual traits. So yeah, man, come on.
All I'm going to say, and we can end it here. Lamar Jackson doesn't get the same grace that Justin Herbert's get, and Justin Herbert gets. And that's the issue I have. Besides the obvious reason, we're not even going to talk about that there. Besides the obvious reason, Lamar Jackson is a former MVP. And here we are. We have some people saying, well, Lamar Jackson may be overrated. Lamar Jackson maybe not as good as what we're. And I think that's the craziest argument, especially when we're giving Justin Herbert the grace that we give Justin Herbert so much grace.
He's a runner. He's not a thrower.
Right.
Yes, he can.
He's a running back playing quarterback, and that's the corniest argument in the world. And again, I know Cody's not making an argument, but it's just, if we're going to make that argument about grace, about how we look at one quarterback versus the other, I'm going to be honest. I'm taking Lamar Jackson over both of them. And that's just me being and Cody, and I know Cody does not agree with that, but I'm taking Lamar Jackson over both of them.
Lamar Jackson's regular season record is nuts. I
dude, and that's the thing. It was like if you put Lamar Jackson in with the offensive pieces that Justin Herbert has had, I'm sorry, bro.
Why do you drag Justin Herbert over hot coals for not being good in big moments? What has Lamar Jackson ever done in the playoffs? If he's even healthy,
Lamar Jackson
even healthy.
Mike Williams as receivers, or Eckler as a running back. I mean, so if we're making that argument, we're not comparing apples to apples. The best receiver Lamar Jackson had is Hollywood Brown, bro. Like,
but you just said that he had all those wins during the regular season. How come it doesn't translate?
He carried Baltimore to all those wins offensively.
All right, but he's not carrying them in the playoffs.
Meanwhile, Pat Mahomes is out here throwing to Sky Moore or whatever in the Super Bowl and winning. Rings. So
Man,
it's just levels to all this stuff. We got to get out of here. you guys are in luck, Panther fans, because you can just mosey on over to the Panthers YouTube channel right now and watch General Manager Scott Fitter, who is live right now, and just said they plan on bringing back Matt Corral to the practice squad if he clears waivers today. So go check out Fetti over on the Panthers YouTube channel. He's live right now in his press conference for today. For Cody and Monty, I'm Des. We'll be back next Thursday, 10:30 a.m. live with a brand new edition of Embrace Debate. Keep pounding.